There was once a seeker who wandered from temple to temple, village to village, searching for the answer to one question: who am I? He asked every monk, every elder, every teacher, but their answers felt like sand slipping through his fingers. One day, exhausted, he sat under a great tree and wept. "I've been looking everywhere," he whispered, "but I can't find myself." A passing monk heard him, sat down quietly and said, "The Buddha teaches, you only lose what you cling to." Perhaps it is not about looking harder, but letting go. The seeker looked up, confused. "If I stop looking, how will I ever find myself?" The monk smiled gently. "You've been searching for something solid, something you can hold and name. But the Buddha reminds us, all conditioned things are impermanent. The self is not a fixed thing, it's a flowing experience." The seeker frowned. "So, I'm not supposed to know who I am?" The monk shook his head. "You're not supposed to trap who you are in a box. You're supposed to meet yourself, moment by moment." They walked together through the forest. The seeker asked, "But why do I feel so empty when I stop searching?" The monk touched a falling leaf and said, "The Buddha teaches, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Emptiness is not a lack, it's space. Space where you can breathe, listen, and simply be." The seeker paused, feeling the wind on his skin. For so long he had filled every silence with noise, every pause with movement, every doubt with more searching. But now, he felt the edge of stillness. That evening they sat by a quiet stream. The seeker said softly, "I thought I would find myself in achievements, in recognition, in becoming someone." The monk smiled. "The Buddha reminds us, it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. You don't find yourself by becoming more, you find yourself by becoming present." The seeker closed his eyes. For the first time he noticed his breath, not as a background noise but as life itself. The next morning they walked quietly through the hills. The seeker asked, "So should I stop wanting to improve? To grow?" The monk paused, looking at the sunrise. "The Buddha teaches, you yourself must strive. The Buddhas only point the way. Growth is natural, but it's not about chasing a better self. It's about being a truer self." The seeker let those words sink in. He realized he had been measuring himself against shadows, comparing, racing, never noticing who he already was. That evening they sat beneath the stars. The seeker whispered, "I feel lighter but also uncertain. If I'm not chasing a clear identity, what do I hold on to?" The monk smiled softly. "The Buddha says, nothing is forever except change. You hold on to presence, to kindness, to each breath, that's enough." The seeker placed a hand on his chest, feeling the quiet rhythm of his own heart. For the first time he wasn't reaching forward or backward, he was simply here. If this story quiets the noise inside you, subscribe and tap the bell. Because sometimes you find yourself not by searching, but by sitting still. Days passed. The seeker began to notice small things he'd always missed. The sound of leaves underfoot, the warmth of the sun on his face, the softness in his own smile. He turned to the monk and said, "I used to think I needed to build myself, piece by piece, like a project." The monk chuckled. "And what do you see now?" The seeker breathed in deeply. "I see that I was always here. waiting for me to stop running. One afternoon they sat beside a lotus pond. The monk picked a fallen petal and placed it gently in the seeker's palm. "The Buddha teaches," he said softly, "just as the lotus rises unsoiled from the mud, so can we rise from confusion, untouched." The seeker stared at the petal, so light, so delicate, yet perfectly formed. He realized he didn't need to become anything new. He only needed to uncover what had always been there, under the layers of fear, noise, and expectation. In that moment he smiled, not in triumph but in quiet understanding. As evening fell, they walked slowly back toward the village. The seeker asked, "Will there come a day when I feel fully complete?" The monk smiled, eyes soft in the fading light. The Buddha reminds us, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. He added gently, "Completion isn't a destination. It's the quiet joy of walking, even when you don't know exactly where the road leads." The seeker felt something loosen inside, the old grip of needing to arrive. That night, they sat once more under the stars. The seeker whispered, "I used to think life was a puzzle to solve. Now I wonder, maybe it's a song to listen to." The monk chuckled softly. "The Buddha teaches, better than 100 years lived in ignorance is one day lived in wisdom. And wisdom is not knowing all the answers. It's knowing how to listen." The seeker closed his eyes. He felt no rush, no urgency, only the soft, steady rhythm of the present moment. The next morning, as the sun rose, the seeker turned to the monk. "Will you walk with me a little longer?" he asked. The monk smiled kindly. "I already have. Every step you take in awareness, every breath you notice, every moment you meet without running. I am there, because the Buddha's teachings live not in me, but in your own practice." The seeker felt a warmth rise in his chest. He realized he was no longer seeking a guide outside himself. He was learning to trust the quiet teacher within.